The New York Yankees have the best record in the American League right now, with Aaron Judge and Juan Soto tearing the cover off the ball. Is that enough to succeed in the postseason? They haven't been back to the World Series since 2009, and I'll just be brutally honest. I'm not confident that the drought will end anytime soon. Even as excited as I was to get Juan Soto, and he hasn't disappointed at all, I was never convinced that this team is another historic season from Aaron Judge or Juan Soto having a career year away from a World Series. This team has a lot of flaws that you wouldn't know just from seeing their record. They still have so many of the same problems they've had for years that have kept them out of the World Series since 2009. The lineup outside of Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and recently Austin Wells is not reliable. This team isn't great with runners in scoring position. The starting rotation is shaky. They don't have a legitimate closer. Aaron Boone still makes too many questionable decisions and doesn't put his best team on the field as much as he should. The Yankees are 16-18 in one-run games and are 4-8 in extra inning games, which tells me when they have to play better teams, they're not doing the little things well enough to win those close games. You can match your way to 90 to 100 wins against bad teams in the regular season, but we've seen that not work in the playoffs against better teams for years. If you look at where this team ranks in several major offensive categories, they look pretty amazing, but stats can be misleading. Outside of Aaron Judge or Juan Soto, who are otherworldly superstars, the Yankees haven't had much consistency from other guys. Just give Aaron Judge the MVP already and Juan Soto a blank check as soon as free agency starts.
Show me the money.
Right now, Austin Wells has been giving Aaron Judge lots of protection as a cleanup hitter behind him, with Soto hitting in front of Judge. Aaron Boone, please either stick with your convictions about Austin Wells getting more playing time even after Jose Trevino comes back from his injury, or don't lie to us. Austin Wells should be catching a lot more often than not. This shouldn't be hard. So the rest of the lineup, outside of those three guys, it's filled with guys like Alex Verdugo and Trent Grisham, who can't hit, period, and DJ LeMahieu, who's completely washed up. He's not only hitting under 200, he's slugging under 300. His WRC plus is just 48, yet he's still gotten way too much playing time for how washed up he is. With Anthony Rizzo hurt, it's either Ben Rice or DJ LeMahieu at first base, and Rice is terrible too. If we have to pick the one who's less terrible, we may as well go with Ben Rice, because at least he has some pop in his bat even while he's hitting under 200. Or sometimes give Oswaldo Cabrera some time at first base. We gotta keep grinding with DJ LeMahieu. No you don't, Aaron Boone. Aaron Hicks had similar numbers when you cut him last year, but DJ LeMahieu's still been getting passes? Huh? Gleyber Torres is actually on a 5-game hitting streak right now. Hopefully this is the beginning of a second half surge like he had last year, but he's been too inconsistent since 2020 for me to really be confident about it. You probably should have traded him when he was heating up right before the trade deadline last year, so you could have gotten more back from him than you would if you trade him after this season, unless he does have another second half surge, which again, I'm not so confident that he will have. At least Chisolm is back from injury to give the Yankees another productive left-handed bat other than Soto and Wells, and great defense at third base. Given Jazz's injury history though, can he actually not get hurt again? If he gets injured again, whatever you do, please keep DJ LeMahieu out of the lineup. He's terrible now, just completely washed up. The Astros cut ties with Jose Abreu when he's owed more money than LeMahieu. Why does this have to be hard for the Yankees? Just because DJ was great in 2019 and 20? That was ages ago, or at least it feels like it. Right now is what matters. At least Giancarlo Stanton's been better this year, but could he have been any worse last year? He's still very capable of crushing the ball, but his plate discipline is beyond terrible. He's always been a guy who strikes out a lot, but now his walk rate is a career low, and sometimes he looks like he's swinging with his eyes closed. He also has no mobility now because of all his leg injuries. The Yankees are also lacking at the leadoff spot. Recently it's been Gleyber Torres, who has been better as of late, but again, he's just not consistent enough for me to really believe in him. Or Alex Verdugo and his allergies to batting gloves has gotten some time as the leadoff hitter too. Gleyber has hit 243 with a 325 on base percentage with a whopping 346 slugging percentage hitting leadoff. Verdugo has hit 250 with a 294 on base percentage hitting leadoff. Anthony Volpe has hit leadoff for most of the season, not for a while though. When he did hit leadoff, he hit 242 with a 293 on base percentage. He's clearly best suited for hitting 7th in that lineup. You may be thinking, well, the Phillies have done really well with Kyle Schwarber as a totally unconventional leadoff hitter who strikes out over 27% of the time and only hits 248. 248 is still better than what any Yankees leadoff hitter has done this year though, and Schwarber also walks a lot, which is why his on-base percentage is 374. When it comes to runners in scoring position, okay, the Yankees aren't the worst team in the league. They are 14th in batting average and on-base percentage, while actually 6th in runs driven in and 5th in OPS. Here's a perfect explanation for that. They're first in home runs with runners in scoring position, which of course is a great thing. Nobody's saying home runs are not good. They're hard to hit though, especially against better pitching, and when you face better pitching, you'll need more ways to manufacture runs. Now for the pitching, the Yankees have the 7th best ERA as a team. Not bad, but let's look at the bigger picture. Their rotation's been shaky. Statistically, the best starting pitcher on this team has been Luis Gil. The problem with him though is that he was only that spectacular in May. He was decent in July, but hasn't been reliable in any other month. Now he's hurt. Everyone else in the rotation's been very inconsistent. Nestor Cortes has pitched really well in his last 2 starts, but for most of the season he's been a shell of what he was in 2021 and 22. I'm not so sure he can maintain what he's been able to do in his last 2 starts for the rest of the season. Carlos Rodon has been better than last year, but that's not saying much. He's still inconsistent, and I think by now you may be able to add him to the list of pitchers coming from West Coast teams that have not lived up to their expectations as Yankees. I was never really high on bringing in Marcus Stroman to begin with, and he hasn't really proven me wrong. Gerrit Cole is starting to turn his season around. He was injured for the first 2.5 months, so I can cut him some slack for the slow start he got off to. He was a lot better in his last 3 starts though. Even if he does return to his Cy Young form from last year for the whole season, the Yankees need a lot more out of their other starters. Cole alone will not be enough. Why couldn't the Yankees trade for Jack Flaherty, who's on a cheap expiring contract and has pitched really well? It's not like you've been doing an even decent job developing your prospects, so what are you even doing holding on to them? The Yankees also definitely need a more reliable closer. The team has the 10th best bullpen ERA in Major League Baseball right now, which isn't bad, but not exactly ideal to win a World Series either, especially when looking at teams ahead of them in bullpen ERA like the Guardians, the Brewers, the Braves, Dodgers, and Astros. The team bullpen whip ranks 16th among Major League Baseball. Clay Holmes is not a closer. He's fine as a setup man. That 2.77 ERA looks pretty good, but since June 3rd, it's 4.76. Not only that, for the whole season, he has a whip at 1.288 and 10 blown saves with barely over a month left in the season. Has he had a few tough breaks? Yeah, like he didn't give up a single earned run in that blown save against the Orioles where Anthony Volpe and Alex Verdugo had their defensive miscues, but Holmes also walked the bases loaded, and he got lucky against Gunnar Henderson in that 9th inning because the home plate umpire was being so generous to him. Or against the Red Sox, only 1 run was charged to him since Luke Weaver put those runners on first and second when the Yankees had a 1-run lead in the bottom of the 8th before Holmes gave up a double and a 2-run single. This is one thing that can make stats fishy at times. A closer's supposed to get out of the inning with the lead, but not Clay Holmes. I'm not asking for Mariano Rivera, alright? I know I'll be disappointed every single time if that's my standard for a closer. I would just like someone who can make me sweat a lot less at the end of the game than Clay Holmes does. That said though, I'm not sure if the Yankees really could have gotten a legitimate closer at the trade deadline. If you have anyone in mind, you can let me know in the comments. Ryan Hessey's a guy that some may be looking at. He has 40 saves in 43 opportunities, has a 2.47 ERA on a sub 500 team. However, the Cardinals were actually fighting for a wild card spot at the time of the trade deadline before their season started slipping away, so it's hard to blame Brian Cashman for not going after him. What I don't understand though is why the Yankees acquired Mark Leiter Jr., a guy with a negative WAR and has an ERA over 4. He's been even worse as a Yankee, posting a 5.91 ERA in the 12 games he's pitched for the Yankees. I'm also concerned about the Yankees not doing well enough in close games, which is not a sign of a championship team. When it comes to one-run games, let's look at how other contending teams are doing in those games. The Orioles are 21-12. The Astros are 19-14. The Guardians are 20-14. The Royals are 19-13. The Braves are 22-10. The Phillies are 18-12, and the Brewers are 20-14. The Yankees, though, just 16-18. As for extra inning games, the Yankees are just 4-8. Let's again look at the other contending teams in those games. The Braves are 10-4. The Dodgers are 8-4. The Guardians are 7-3, and the Orioles are 5-4. Just knowing that the Yankees don't have winning records in one-run games or extra inning games is concerning for the playoffs when the stakes are higher and they'll have to play better teams. Brain farts like Trent Grisham hesitating and being sent home late when he's not a fast runner on the bases to begin with, only to be thrown out at home on Austin Wells' double when he really should have easily made it home on that play, really doesn't help with winning those tight games. When looking at the previous 20 World Series champions, none of them have a losing record in extra inning games. As for one-run games, only 3 were 500 or worse, and 1 was 1 game above 500. So yes, it's possible to win a World Series when you're not very good in those close games, but it's unlikely. The last concern I have is that it's been almost a month since the Yankees have swept anyone, and they've had a relatively easy schedule this month outside of the Guardians. I understand bad teams do beat contenders every now and then, every year, but the Yankees should sweep at least 2 of these bad teams. Here's what the Yankees need to do to win their 28th World Series. This would be a long-term solution since there's nothing that can be done about it this year to win. The Yankees need to do a better job developing their own guys. Something needs to change about how they develop their prospects because the way they're doing it now clearly isn't working. When the dynasty happened, their core was built through the farm system. Yeah, a few trades here and there were made, but Jeter, Mo, Posada, Pettit, and Bernie were all developed through the farm system. The Yankees didn't buy championships. Yes, having more money than everyone else gave them an advantage, but since when did that guarantee anything? They did an amazing job developing their own guys and then had the money to keep them when the time came to pay them. In the last 20 years, Robinson Cano and Aaron Judge are the only 2 guys that became superstars for more than 2 seasons that the Yankees developed through their farm system. Right now, Austin Wells has been great. Luis Hill might be good in the future, but we don't know. Can these guys actually last? Anthony Volpe has shown flashes of potential, but he needs to be a lot more consistent before I really believe in him and not see him as another overhyped prospect like the Yankees have had for years. Andrew Brackman, Rob Refsnyder, Slade Heathcott, Greg Bird, Clint Frazier, Miguel Andujar. I really hope Volpe isn't next, but I'm worried he will be. Jasson Dominguez too. 1 game and he was already sent back down after being injured for most of the year. I was so happy that the Padres didn't demand him for Juan Soto, but I don't know about that one now, and it may not even be his fault because the Yankees are so bad at developing their own guys. When the Yankees had the whole baby bombers movement, only Aaron Judge actually maintained his stardom for the long haul. Miguel Andujar was a 1-year wonder, and Gleyber, Torres, and Gary Sanchez fizzled out after 2 seasons. Or on the pitching side, have the Yankees actually developed a starting pitcher into anything good for a long period of time since Andy Pettit? Have they even developed a legitimate ace for at least 3 seasons since Rodon Guidry? As for the closer situation, I don't actually know if anyone currently on the Yankees could be a better closer than Clay Holmes, but you have to try something different because clearly Clay Holmes is not the guy. If the other guy you go with instead doesn't work out, fine, but at least try rather than just keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I know Tommy Kahnle has never been a closer in his career, but the guy has a 1.69 ERA this year and he's not getting hit as hard. Or Jake Cousins, who has a 1.84 ERA with a much better K rate than Holmes this year. For now, just please try something different and then address the need for a closer immediately in the offseason. I'm fine with Clay Holmes as the 7th or 8th inning guy, but he is not a closer. He does not have it up here to be a closer. If the Yankees actually had a good manager, someone else would most likely already be closing by now. Even though no manager can fix everything, and Brian Cashman, who's long overstayed his welcome as the Yankees GM, deserves blame too for putting together a flawed team. For Aaron Boone to let Clay Holmes continue continue to blow this many saves is not okay for a manager to do. Or when it comes to executing late in close games, well-managed teams win more of those close games than not. They come down to execution and fundamentals, which the Yankees are horrible at. It's nice having the greatest 1-2 hitting punch in Aaron Judge and Juan Soto since David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez, but you also need to do the little things to win championships. That's the ultimate goal, right? Yes, I fully expect the Yankees to make the playoffs, but since when was that enough for such a rich and storied franchise like the Yankees? Not to mention, Juan Soto can leave in free agency after this season, and if he does, the Yankees are screwed. So that's it for what I think will hold the Yankees back come October. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and also agree with the many flaws of the Yankees, which will likely hold them back in October, be sure to consider hitting the like button. Also, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. Links to my social media are down below for more immediate reactions to what's going on in the sports world. If you'd like to see my most recent video or the one that YouTube recommends, both are up above. Thank you so much for watching. Go Yankees. Hopefully I'm wrong and the Yankees will actually win the World Series this year. Catch you next time.